What if a single factory held the power to rewrite the destiny of an entire nation's economy? For decades, Jamaica has poured billions into foreign hands just to keep building homes, roads and schools. But now, with a $42 million industrial upgrade lighting up in 2025, the island is on the edge of its biggest construction revolution ever. By the end of this story, you'll see how this cement plant could not only free Jamaica from foreign imports, but also position the island as a new industrial giant in the Caribbean. To understand why this new project is such a game changer, you need to step into Jamaica's long and complicated relationship with construction. The island, known for its natural beauty, booming tourism and vibrant culture, has always faced a hidden struggle: the cost of development. Every hotel, highway and housing block built on Jamaican soil has carried a heavy price tag. Not because of labour or land, but because of cement. This basic yet vital material has been the backbone of modern infrastructure. But much of it has had to be imported at staggering costs. Now, picture an island where every construction project no longer depends on ships arriving from Turkey, Panama, or the Dominican Republic. That's the vision that became reality in June 2025, when the Caribbean Cement Company unveiled one of the boldest industrial expansions in Jamaica's history. Jamaica has always dreamed big when it comes to infrastructure. With a population eager for new homes, a government pushing ambitious housing and road programs, and a tourism industry expanding every year, the demand for cement has only grown. But here lies the problem. Local production has never been able to keep up. Take 2023, for example. That year alone, Jamaica spent over $22 million just on importing Portland cement. That money didn't stay in the local economy. It went to factories thousands of miles away. Each shipload of cement arriving from the Dominican Republic, Turkey or Panama was a stark reminder that Jamaica's progress was chained to global supply chains. And this isn't just about numbers. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been blunt about the dangers of over-reliance on imports. When supply is disrupted, projects stall. When global prices rise, so do the costs of building a Jamaican family's first home. We all remember the pandemic, when supply chains collapsed and building materials became scarce. Add to that the ripple effects of inflation and global conflicts, and suddenly an entire nation's development is at the mercy of international markets. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce Auburn Hill put it even more sharply. For every bag that we import, we send jobs overseas. Our job in Jamaica is to keep jobs here. That statement was more than a slogan. It became a rallying cry. Jamaica needed a solution, and it needed one fast. Enter the Debottleneck Project. On the shores of Kingston, at the historic Rockfort plant, the Caribbean Cement Company launched a bold $6.7 billion Jamaican dollar, equivalent to $42 million US expansion that promised to change the rules of the game. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a few shiny new machines bolted onto an old factory. It was a total transformation. The beating heart of the project was a dramatic expansion of the plant's kiln. The massive rotating furnace that turns limestone and other raw materials into clinker, the rock-like substance that makes cement possible. By enlarging and upgrading this critical part of the process, the plant suddenly gained the power to produce far more than before. But that was only the beginning. The expansion introduced a brand new main house for processing, a smarter and more adaptable fuel system, and cutting-edge environmental controls. Even the plant's chimney was redesigned, ensuring cleaner emissions and more efficient operations. This wasn't just an investment in machines, it was an investment in people. Over 200 Jamaican contractors were employed during construction, building technical skills that will stay on the island long after the ribbon cutting. When the plant was finally commissioned in June 2025, Managing Director Jorge Martinez proudly declared, "Mission accomplished," a phrase that carried the weight of years of planning, labour and national expectation. The impact was immediate. Within just a month of the upgrade, the Rockfort plant was smashing production records. It churned out over 93,000 metric tons of clinker and more than 109,000 metric tons of cement, a performance that would have been unthinkable before. With production capacity boosted by 30%, Jamaica went from producing 1 million tons annually to a staggering 1.3 million tons. That number may sound abstract, but here's what it really means. For the first time in decades, Jamaica could meet its own demand without leaning so heavily on foreign imports. For ordinary Jamaicans, this translates into stability. Cement becomes cheaper and easier to get. Construction costs stop swinging wildly with global markets. Prime Minister Holness drew a direct line between cement and social progress when he said, "We cannot house our people if the fundamental inputs like cement are constrained by outdated or overstretched production capacity." Now, with the supply stabilised, projects that once felt like pipe dreams suddenly seem within reach. The new social housing programme, which promises to deliver homes for Jamaica's most vulnerable families, now has a solid foundation. The Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project, critical for boosting tourism and local trade, no longer has to worry about material shortages. And let's not forget jobs. Construction is one of the biggest employers in the country, and every bag of cement produced locally fuels an industry that supports families across the island. As the Prime Minister himself put it, when we invest in factories, we invest in our families. But this story doesn't end at Jamaica's borders. The Rockfort expansion is more than just an industrial project. It's a declaration of independence. For decades, the Caribbean has relied on cement imports from powerful economies. Jamaica was no exception. But with this bold $42 million leap, the island is sending a message loud and clear. We will no longer be just consumers. We will be producers. Instead of importing, we will be exporting. Instead of consuming value-added goods, we will be producing them. This is the shift from dependency to self-determination. And the possibilities are staggering. With local demand now met, Jamaica has the chance to turn outward, shipping cement to its Caribbean neighbours. The Caribbean Cement Company has already signalled its intent to pursue exports. This would not only bring in new revenue, but also position Jamaica as a regional powerhouse, reshaping trade flows in the Caribbean. Imagine this. Instead of Jamaica paying foreign suppliers for cement, smaller island nations could soon be paying Jamaica. The very same cement that once drained Jamaica's economy could now become one of its strongest exports. That's not just economic survival, that's economic leadership. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. This project isn't just about making more cement. It's about changing Jamaica's entire identity on the global stage. For the first time in modern history, the island isn't simply reacting to the world economy. It's reshaping it. The Rockfort plant expansion isn't just a factory upgrade. It's a symbol of self-sufficiency, resilience, and ambition. And the twist? The real story of this project lies not just in production numbers, but in the cutting-edge technology and environmental innovation hidden inside its walls. From recycled fuels to advanced emission controls, the Rockfort plant is proving that Jamaica's march toward industrial strength doesn't have to come at the expense of its environment. To truly grasp the scale of Jamaica's $42 million leap forward, you have to step inside the Rockfort plant itself. On the surface, it may just look like another industrial facility, but within its walls lies a complex web of engineering that is nothing short of a technical marvel. The Debottleneck project gets its name from its mission: to identify and remove the bottlenecks that were holding production back. And the biggest of those was the kiln. Think of the kiln as the roaring furnace that turns raw limestone and clay into clinker, the essential ingredient of cement. Before the expansion, Rockfort's kiln was stretched to its limits. Now, with a larger, more advanced unit, the plant can process far greater volumes at blistering temperatures that exceed 1,000 degrees Celsius. But the upgrades didn't stop with size. The new kiln came with enhanced automation, allowing precise control over temperature, speed, and fuel efficiency. This means the plant doesn't just produce more cement. It produces it smarter, with less wasted energy and fewer breakdowns. The innovation continues with the plant's solid fuel dosing system. This is where things get interesting. Traditionally, cement plants rely heavily on fossil fuels, but Rockfort's system is flexible enough to use alternative energy sources. In fact, the plant can burn recycled tires as fuel, cutting down on waste while reducing costs. This approach is part of Cemex's global Future in Action sustainability program, which aims to slash carbon emissions across all its facilities. A redesigned chimney and advanced air handling systems ensure cleaner emissions, addressing one of the biggest concerns of heavy industry: its environmental impact. By incorporating this technology, the Rockfort plant isn't just a symbol of industrial progress, it's also a model of environmental responsibility. The true impact of this investment will be felt far beyond the gates of the factory. Cement is often seen as a dry, technical commodity, but in Jamaica, it's the cornerstone of daily life. Lower cement costs ripple outward into nearly every sector of society. Take housing. For years, the high price of cement has kept many families from building or improving their homes. With costs now stabilizing, more Jamaicans will finally be able to lay the foundation for a house of their own. This doesn't just mean shelter, it means security, stability, and pride. The government's ambitious new social housing program, which has sometimes struggled with the cost of construction, now has the resources to accelerate. More homes can be built faster and at lower prices, directly transforming lives. Schools, hospitals, and community centres also stand to benefit. With local cement production able to meet demand, the state can invest confidently in building the infrastructure that sustains public life. Every hospital wing or classroom that opens its doors will carry within its walls the story of Rockfort's expansion. The ripple effect also reaches Jamaica's workforce. Over 200 contractors were directly involved in building the new facility, but the real payoff is the technical knowledge they acquired. These workers now have experience managing advanced industrial projects, knowledge they will carry into future jobs. Prime Minister Holness has emphasized this point, noting that the project helps Jamaican workers grow in scientific, technical, and engineering fields. In other words, this isn't just a factory. It's a training ground for Jamaica's next generation of industrial talent. Even the environment gains. By integrating technologies that recycle waste and reduce emissions, the Rockfort plant provides a blueprint for how Jamaica can pursue industrialization without sacrificing its natural beauty. In a world where climate change is reshaping global priorities, This balance between growth and sustainability could prove to be one of the project's greatest legacies. It would be a mistake to view the Rockfort expansion only through the lens of Jamaica's borders. The implications stretch across the Caribbean and even into global markets. For decades, the Caribbean has been at the mercy of industrialized nations, forced to import cement at whatever price global suppliers dictated. By achieving self-sufficiency, Jamaica flips the script. The island is no longer a passive consumer. It's an active producer. But what happens when Jamaica produces more than it consumes? The answer is exports. The Caribbean Cement Company has already hinted at exploring export markets across the region. Smaller island states, which often lack their own cement plants, could soon be importing Jamaican cement. This would strengthen Jamaica's trade balance while simultaneously reducing its neighbours' reliance on far-flung suppliers. In essence, Jamaica could become the cement hub of the Caribbean. The symbolism here is powerful. An island, once dependent on imports, becomes the very place others turn to for their own building needs. This transition from dependency to leadership reflects a deeper truth about the future of small nations in a globalized economy. Those who invest in local production gain the power to shape their own destinies. If you zoom out from the machinery, the fuel systems, and the production numbers, what emerges is something much bigger. The Rockfort expansion is a symbol of Jamaica's ambition. It's proof that small nations can think big, act boldly, and seize control of their economic futures. Prime Minister Holness framed it as a philosophical shift. Instead of importing, we will be exporting. Instead of consuming value-added goods, we will be producing them. This is the shift from dependency to self-determination. That quote captures the essence of what Rockfort represents. It isn't just about cement. It's about dignity, independence, and belief in national potential. The plant is also a message to the world. For investors, it says Jamaica is serious about industrial modernization. For its citizens, it says the government and private sector are willing to put money where their mouth is to create real opportunities. And for the wider Caribbean, it signals that Jamaica is ready to lead, not just in culture and tourism, but in industry. Here's the twist that makes this story even more compelling. Jamaica's Rockfort project is not just about catching up. It's about leaping ahead. While other countries in the region are still struggling to stabilize their supply chains, Jamaica is now positioned to dominate them. The $42 million upgrade didn't just remove a bottleneck, it turned the island into a new industrial force at the very moment global demand for building materials is surging. And there's another layer. By adopting sustainable practices, like recycling tyres for fuel and cutting emissions, Rockfort is quietly setting a new standard for what modern industry in the Caribbean should look like. Jamaica isn't just producing more cement, it's producing it cleaner, smarter and more responsibly. In a world where industries are under pressure to go green, that is a competitive advantage that money alone can't buy. So, let's step back. For decades, Jamaica was shackled by imports, forced to spend millions overseas just to keep its construction sector alive. But with the $42 million Rockfort expansion, the island has flipped the script. It now produces more cement than ever, stabilizing local costs, fueling a national building boom, and even setting the stage to export across the region. Along the way, it created jobs, transferred technical knowledge, and tied industrial progress to environmental responsibility. What began as an industrial upgrade has become a symbol of independence. A bold declaration that Jamaica is no longer at the mercy of foreign suppliers, but ready to chart its own economic course. And now the question comes to you. If one factory can spark such a profound transformation, what other mega projects could redefine Jamaica's future? Could renewable energy plants, high-tech ports, or even digital infrastructure be the next frontier? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this breakdown of Jamaica's cement revolution insightful, make sure to hit the like button. Share it with others who care about the future of the Caribbean, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the economic shifts shaping our world. Because one thing is certain, Jamaica's $42 million cement plant is not just building concrete, it's building history.